Hello and welcome to this class tour here in Iittala village. My name is Jaana and I will be your guide during this tour today. We will first take a short tour here in our historical exhibition and then we will go and visit the glass factory. The Iittala Glass Factory was founded by a Swedish master glass blower, Peter Magnus Abrahamsson, in 1881. So this year, 2021, we are celebrating the 140th anniversary of the factory. And nowadays, the Iittala Glass Factory is the only glass factory still operating in Finland, with around 200 employees, and the factory is part of Fiskars Group. The most well-known item of all the Iittala products is the Alto vase. The Alto collection was designed already in 1936. It was designed by the famous Finnish architect Alvar Aalto and has become a timeless symbol of Nordic interior design. All the Alto vases are mouth-blown here in Iittala. The collection was originally designed for a competition, and Alvar Aalto himself called the competition entry Eskimo Women's Leather Pants. Nowadays, we call the collection simply Aalto. Alvar Aalto was inspired by the lakes of the Finnish landscape, and there is a connection between the shape of the waves and the Finnish word Aalto. Aalto means wave. Alvar Aalto's first wife, Aino Aalto, also worked as a designer and architect. In 1932, she designed a collection of pressed glassware inspired by ripples in water. This Aino Aalto collection is nowadays the oldest collection that is still in production. One of the important years in the history of Iittala is 1946. Then there was a design competition that focused on decorative patterns that could be applied to glass through either engraving or sandblasting. The winner of the competition was Tapio Virkkala, and the second and also the third prize were given to Kai Frank. After the competition, they both started as in-house designers here in Iittala. Here we can see one of the most well-known glass items by Tapio Virkkala. It's the vase called Chanterelle with hand-cut lines on the surface. The bigger one of the vases is still available. Kai Frank stayed here only for a few years before he went to another glass factory in Nuutajärvi. That's why we only have a few items designed by Kai Frank. We have, for example, this bottle with the pattern that he actually designed for the competition. After Kai Frank had left Iittala, the factory employed a young designer called Timo Sarpaneva. The 1950s were the golden age of Finnish design, and speaking of glass, it was mostly art pieces. Like, for example, different kind of lancets and orchidea, orchid by Timo Sarpaneva. Orchid was chosen as the most beautiful glass item in the world in 1954 in USA. Special in orchid and also here in the Tapio series by Tapio Virkkala is the air bubble inside of glass. The air bubble is made by a special technique by pressing a wet wooden stick into hot glass. There will be steam, and it's the steam that forms the bubble inside of glass. In the 1950s, the pieces looked quite simple and the items had mostly smooth surface. But in the 1960s, the designers wanted to create something totally different. The starting point for this glass with frosty surface was the collection called Finlandia, designed by Timo Sarpaneva. This frosty glass was especially popular in the 1970s, but even today, this Ultima Thule collection and these Festivo candle holders are still in production. Today, people all over the world recognize Iittala Glass by the red eye logo. The logo was designed by Timo Sarpaneva already in 1956. The eye letter actually symbolizes the glass blowing pipe with a glass cutter at the opening of a glass furnace. First, the eye logo was only used to this eyeline collection, but in the 1960s it became the trademark of Iittala. Towards the end of the 1960s, the factory started to concentrate on clear glass. The models became quite simple and the surface of the items became smooth again. One of the examples of this simple eye glass is the collection called Gaissa. This collection is still available. Since 2007, Iittala has been part of Fiskars Group. Nowadays there are freelance designers from Finland and from abroad. Here we can see some examples of the current production, like the candle holders called Lantern, designed by Harri Koskinen, and Alfredo Heberli's Essence series that has received many international design awards. I also want to mention this simple vase with a perfectly symmetrical form. The vase is called Ruutu and it was created by Renana Nurban Bourjek. This vase is mouth-blown here in Iittala. This was the history in short, and now I would like to take you to the factory. As I already told you in the museum, we have around 200 employees here in the factory. Around 65 of them are working with the glass blowing. The glass blowers, they work in small groups of 4 to 8 persons. They work 8 hours in a day and 5 days in a week. Of each group, there's always one person having a break, which means that one person is working for 45 minutes and then there's a break for 50 minutes. But the group is working all the time, all day. Glass is made of sand. Around 70% of Iittala glass is sand, and in addition to sand, for example soda and lime are added to the mixture of the materials. All the materials are melted in a furnace with a temperature of 1400 degrees. The molten glass is then given shape either by blowing or by pressing with a machine. Iittala has expertise also in colors. Iittala has thousands of color recipes, and the colors are made by adding different kind of metal oxides into the mixture of the materials. At one time, around 20 different colors are active in production. Each year there's a new color, and this year, 2021, it's this lovely amethyst color. Now let's go up to the balcony of the factory to see the glass blowing area. At the moment we have, for example, the Alto vases in production, so you can actually see how the Alto vases are made. So please follow me up to the balcony. Thank you for joining me during this tour today. You are welcome to meet us here in Iittala. See you soon. Bye bye.